So I first met Elaine, I think, in the early 2000s. I met her as a midwifery academic who was the director of the midwifery program at UBC. And then really my relationship with Elaine grew when she became one of the editors for one of our textbooks on Canadian midwifery.
Elaine and I first started working together during the period when we were trying to establish the School of Midwifery at UBC. We needed a leader. Elaine stepped in, which in retrospect was a gift in terms of the nature of her leadership, and the working relationship we developed allowed us to actually make it happen.
At the time I worked in maternity care, we were using a drug called twilight sleep, and that meant that women were sort of awake, but were not in control of what they were doing, and afterwards they didn't remember. I remember women saying to me, is that my baby? Were you there? And I thought, there's something wrong here with what they are saying. And I was blessed to have support from the New Brunswick government to go to Yale. I saw birth in a whole different way. I saw normal birth with women awake and excited about it, and yes, experiencing pain, but they were okay with that. They knew they had a wonderful baby at the end. So I thought, my goodness, this is the way it could be for all women if there was midwifery care. For me, that began a 30-year effort to change that.
Physicians weren't wildly enthusiastic about the idea of midwives basically being independent practitioners around birth. And the history of midwifery in BC was that it wasn't regulated, it wasn't licensed. And so people had set up midwifery practices where they were working with women in the community and they were doing home births. And medicine took a very dim view of that. So there were a lot of challenges to getting that up and running in the province.
At a global level, people are really seeing the contributions of midwifery and how important it is in terms of, value added for the healthcare system, but also we have really good evidence now to show the impact that it has on health outcomes. Reduction of preterm birth, improved outcomes for sexual and reproductive rights for women and families. So I think at a global level, and then especially here in Canada, we're really seeing the impact that midwifery can have and the role that it can play in the healthcare system.
Elaine has been referred to as the midwife of midwifery in British Columbia, and I think she is. She was the first director of the midwifery program in BC, and she used her legendary skills to make that possible.
Being part of that first class was a very, very unique experience, I would say. And then at the same time, there was, I think probably a really, really challenging thing to create and launch a program like that. So I think it was really difficult. And for that, from their side, and then our experience was that, we were the first ones to be taking all of these courses. So there was a lot of course, there was a lot of bumps and hiccups, but at the same time, we were just so grateful to be there.
People really saw her as someone who could talk about how midwifery fits into the bigger picture of the healthcare system and what we needed in terms of creating a workforce and a profession that could be part of that and be taken seriously and be legitimate.
Elaine is full of grace, and grace is exactly what was required to do this. She didn't approach it as a fight, but approached it as an opportunity.
Elaine could show anyone who wanted to move into leadership and be a change agent how to be a change agent and to go boldly where no one has gone before in terms of taking on challenges and taking on things that people would have not believed possible at the time when she was undertaking the work that she did.
Indomitable and pioneering nurse forged the pathway to regulating midwifery in BC and Canada. Canadian Medical Hall of Fame laureate Elaine Carty.